Alright friends, wireless microphones. Are you confused yet? You probably will be, especially if you're new to this. So how do you weed through the crap to find a good quality wireless mic? It's not easy and it's very confusing. I went with the Audix Performance Series Wireless. I liked the Audix because it was made out of metal. It seemed very rugged and durable. The 40 series I don't know too much about performance-wise. I didn't use it. I didn't purchase it. I went with the 60 series. The 40 series is 32 megahertz of bandwidth. The 60 series is 64 megahertz of bandwidth. That's a lot of room to play with. 522 to 586 megahertz. I live in Southern California where the radio frequency, RF, all that stuff, very crowded environment down here, especially at a lot of the outdoor events that I do. There's potential for disaster. I needed a lot of frequencies to choose from. 60 series did that for me. Dual diversity is another big one for me. Lots of receivers will say that they are dual diversity, but are they true dual diversity or are they just what they call diversity receivers? Diversity receivers are pretty good. You have two antennas, each of which is operating. When one of them drops out, the other one picks it up most of the time. There is a chance, however, that while antenna A drops out, there could be that slight delay before antenna B picks it up. That's not great if you're in the middle of a wedding ceremony. With true diversity, each antenna has its own tuner, each of which is working at all times, and the odds of you having both tuners go out simultaneously is very, very low. Yes, it can happen, but I haven't experienced that in a year of using this Audix 60 series system. I really like the R61 receiver. I really like the lavalier microphones. They're not perfect. There was some trouble I had this year using them in sunlight. They didn't want to sync up that well if there was really, really bright sun in the middle of the day beaming down and hitting the system. Providing extra shade seemed to mostly combat this problem. However, when I wasn't providing shade, or at the very beginning of the year when I didn't know that this was the problem, there was a lot of struggle to sometimes get the B60 packs to work properly. This created a lot of stress and a lot of sweating right before wedding ceremonies. It always ended up working out, but not quite as easily and smoothly as I wanted it to. The microphones themselves, the B60 packs using the ADX10 Audix microphones sound pretty good. They do tend to run a little bit hot, so inside the microphone there is an option for you to change your decibels. I would run it at -6. This is what the instruction manual says to do, and yeah, I actually had to read the instruction manual on this new Audix system. I have been DJing since 2001, and I was a little bit confident and a little bit cocky when I got the Audix system, thinking I didn't really need to read the instructions and I could just kind of figure it out on the fly like you tend to do with a lot of other things, except maybe DMX channels on a new DMX lighting fixture. This was a huge mistake because all microphones are a little bit different. All manufacturers do things a little bit of a different way. While some manufacturers will tell you if you're going to set up multiple systems, turn on all the receivers, get them all to sync up, and then go one at a time with the microphones. The Audix system didn't want me to do it that way. I have two R61 receivers, two OM2 microphones, and two BodyPack ADX10 lavalier mics. The proper way, or the way that seemed to work absolutely the best for me to set them up, would be to turn on a receiver, have it scan for an open channel, then sync up one of the body packs. Once that body pack was synced up, I moved it about 10 or 15 feet away from me, then turned on the next receiver, scanned again, then synced up the second body pack. Once they were both synced up, it didn't matter where the body packs were. I could put them right next to the receivers until I needed to put them on a bride, haha, joking, on a pastor and a groom. You never mic up a bride, guys. Come on, and gals. I know there's lady DJs out there too. So, this system I think is a fantastic alternative. It's not particularly any cheaper than some of the offerings from Shure or Sennheiser or some of the other players out there once you get to the 60 series versus maybe the Sennheiser series, and Shure has a lot of different options too. But I think it's a really great option. I think it's a good design. I like the way it looks. I've really loved the performance of it. There's a venue I go to probably about 25 times a year. Over the years, I've had weird dropouts at this outdoor venue. I don't know if it's the trees, I don't know if it's the crowds of people that change a little bit. I'm not really sure I can pinpoint what the problem is. But with this system in the last year, once I got it to work when it was having its little syncing issues in the sunlight, it was amazing. There was no dropouts, it sounded great. Also, wind is obviously not going to be your best friend when you're using a lavalier system outside. That venue I'm speaking of has a lot of wind. The ADX10 mics performed awesomely. They work fantastic. I have some footage I'll show you of them performing in wind. Very admirably done, by the way, Audix. Well played. Okay, now I am not going to go through every single feature in the menu because I really want you, if you purchase this system, to mess around with it yourself, read the instructions, and see what your needs are for your events. Turn the system on, it welcomes you by telling you what the name of the product is, and you have a frequency. Buttons are very rugged. Again, I've used this system for 1 year. Probably went through about 30, well, I had 35 events last year, and the system was used at least in some part or another at all 35 events. Simply hold the button up, it will begin to scan. 64 megahertz is what this system is scanning. This is the true dual diversity receiver, the R61. The receivers themselves are around $400, maybe $430 if you want to buy just a receiver or if you need to add additional receivers to systems. The receiver with this B60 body pack, which comes with an ADX10 mic, which I have added an extra windscreen to for some difficult situations, is about $649, which is pretty much industry standard for this level of receiver and microphone. All right, 538.25. Time to turn this thing on. Push sync. Holding it back a few inches, there you go. It is synced. Now, that was again the problem, I think, was just the sensor being exposed to the sun, wasn't able to always sync it properly. Providing shade to the system made it basically work fine. Love this because it really does give you obviously the frequencies here. You can see how strong the signal is here, RF. I hope this is going to be a little bit clearer if I zoom in on the screen itself. Yeah. There's your signal from the microphone itself. And with this system, if you were talking into the mic like that, you can now see that it's popping up. This is me talking into the ADX10. You're still hearing audio just from the camcorder, but to show you in real time that it is picking up the voice right there. The logo here shows that the system is currently unlocked. That is for this screen itself. You can see your squelch setting. You can also change that to be your line setting if you wanted to see what's displayed there. And it gives you battery life. The battery life has been great. I don't push it too much myself because one other thing I noticed is my last system allowed me to use a lot of a lot of rechargeable batteries, which I know is kind of a no-no when it comes to wireless mics, but I got away with it so well on my last system that I thought I could do that again here. The Audix system did not like it. Rechargeable batteries tend to fluctuate a little bit in how much charge they hold, and this system did not like that at all. It would kind of give you that horrible popping and clicking sound. If you're using rechargeables, be very, very, very cautious. I don't think it's a great idea at all. I used these all year long. Rayovac Fusion AA's. I bought cases of these suckers. Voltage was outstanding. They seemed to provide very, very stable performance at every event. And unless I was doing back-to-back weddings on a Friday, Saturday, or a Saturday, Sunday, I was essentially using the batteries one time, and then they were ending up in my kids' toys because I was just putting a new set in every time. That might be a little overkill for some people, but that seemed to work fantastically for me. I never had to worry about battery life. An hour before the ceremony, I would set it up, get people wired up, walk away, and not worry about it. You're probably looking at about 12 to 14 hours of battery life. Once the ceremony was done, I would transfer the batteries into the handheld mics so that I was only using anywhere from 2 to 4 batteries the whole time. Other settings in here to worry about. You just hold the set button down. You can look at your group. Well, let's try that again. Haha! Group. Channel, this is what you want to display. You can also pick them individually. There's your line level. You can select that from 9 all the way down. I run it a little bit hotter out of the receiver. Going back in here, your squelch setting I would just leave at the factory default. That being said, I don't recall if 15 is the factory default or not, but I know that's worked well for me this year. That's what you want to display. You want to display your frequency, your channel, the name of your system, the squelch, and the level. Squelch and level are independently displayed. These first three, name, channel, and frequency, are what would be displayed next to it. Moving on, the buttons feel really good, by the way. They're really solid buttons. I don't think they're going to go out anytime soon. The lock is for the system itself. Once you get all your settings done, if you're in a situation where you might need to walk away and you don't want people messing with it, at least not if they don't know what they're doing, you can lock your system out so that nobody can get into it. The pilot you always want to leave on. That's an inaudible signal that is your receiver talking to your transmitter. That scans. You can name the system whatever you want to name it if you have multiple systems. I only run 2. Transmitter lock is for the handhelds, because on the other one, the body pack, you can actually do the transmitter lock in the body pack itself. On the handhelds, you set it here. Once you set the transmitter lock, you resync the handheld, and then somebody can't be standing up there giving a speech and accidentally hit the mute button. You control the volume at that point. And then there's your, again, display mode and group. So it's really simple and easy to use. I really like that part of it. The transmitter itself, here's what an OM2 capsule looks like. As you can see, you can hit the mute button. That's really all you can do in that system. Syncing it is a piece of cake as well. This drops down. There we go. There's your little infrared sensor. You would just point that, again, a few inches away right here at your sensor. And there is those aforementioned RayFX. They should send me a free pack now because I'm saying how awesome they are. You can interchange the tops here. This actual capsule itself comes off. I wouldn't recommend messing too much with your mic in there, but you can also change out the whole capsule from an OM2 to an OM5 or whatever mic works best for you. The construction of the body packs is a full metal design. I really like it. It's actually put together really well. Has a really nice clip on the back. Nothing seems like it's real chintzy or cheap on here. It's a really nice pack. Couple last things I'll mention, then we'll get to some quick clips of the microphone in action. I like this system as well because it fits right on top of this little case that I have my DDJ-SZ in. These cases that it's sitting in you can get at a lot of retailers. These are Gator cases, and it's pretty cool. You can put your handheld in there. Your system's always in there ready to go, but this system fits on top of this shelf really well. Usually at weddings you only have one handheld. I always have a wired mic with me, and usually an OM2 just to keep the sound consistent. And then I have a wired mic because I'm not usually wandering too far from the DJ booth. And if I am, I probably have the handheld with me. And if I know I'm going to need a second one, I can just plug the second handheld in and get it going right away in the other system. But kudos to Audix. I think it's a great system. I've seen a lot of positive talk about it this year, but haven't seen too many videos, so I thought I'd get one out there for everybody. Here's some event footage, including some of that windy stuff that we talked about. So you can see the OM, well, not the OM2s actually, the ADX10s in action. Here you go.
Friends with Terry for about 10 years. We actually met through our oldest daughters. And anybody who has become friends with Terry knows that it's within your first meeting you feel like you've known the guy for your whole life. So he's really been a brother to me, and I was really honored when I was asked to take this role on. And I wanted to just thank you for being such a good friend and a loyal friend and being there for me in many times when
you two get to share that love, and that should be trending in your marriage every day. In all seriousness, we celebrate with you today, with your families, your friends. I want you to just take a little peek out there, see all of your friends that are out there.
Once again, think of the generations that came before us. Your great-grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, yes, those you fought with, and then
yeah, they're just there. Okay, so that's good. We're checked off with that. Aaron, we are going to do you first. Okay, I'm just want you to know. So Aaron, I want you to take the ring for Miss L. Yes? I think.
We promise to be ever accepting of one another while treasuring each other's individuality, to comfort and support each other through life's disappointments and sorrows, to revel and share in each other's joys and accomplishments, to share our hopes and dreams, to strive for an intimacy that will allow us to accomplish this and permit us to become the persons we are yet to be.
So there you have it, the Audix Performance Series Wireless. This is the 60 series. Once I figured out which batteries it wanted to use and the fact that it didn't want to sync up in super bright sunlight, the system was amazing. It performed awesome at over 30 events last year, most of which weddings, so it really mattered that it sounded great, and it did. Highly recommended system. Good stuff, Audix. Thanks for watching.
They must have given it down the order.